Today's webinar, Dare to be Exceptional, Chris Leader and from the Leader's Edge training. And I want to remind everybody of Royal LePage's promise. And our promise to you is that Royal LePage will help you maximize your earning potential by providing you with powerful business tools, access to leads and referrals, and training for all stages of your career. And these webinars are all about doing that. You know, years ago when I wanted to start this, was all about getting our training partners involved, getting these industry experts that we have partnerships with to come on once a month and really help you know what's going on, help you get more. And I want to invite you to check out the RLP Network in terms of that section. RLP Network, you go to the training section, you go to webinar training, you'll see all the upcoming webinars, plus you can get all our past ones. Also, of course, Leader's Edge, as one of our preferred training partners, do have an excellent program for you, the Leader's Edge virtual training. You can find that as well in the RLP Network under training, training partners, and Leader's Edge. You'll see the details there so you can understand what this program is all about. And that's all I want to say. That's my side of things. So 2 minutes, that's all that Chris will let me have. That's all I want to have, to be fair. I'm just kidding. But, you know, I really want to get to the meat of this, which is getting, you know, to talk about daring to be exceptional. And I want to introduce Chris Leader for those of you who are on the webinar who maybe this is your first time experiencing Chris, but Chris comes from an incredible background in real estate. He's worked as a salesperson, he's worked as broker owner and recruiter, you know, and he took all of that. And, you know, just to give you some context, by age 24, he was a successful realtor and broker owner. You know, that's how much experience he has. And he took all that and he turned to his passion of helping people get to that same level. And Chris is like a one-man roadshow. I'll tell you, speaking to him before, every day he's in different cities all across North America. Apparently he's booked up like crazy. So, you know, he's out there every day helping agents grow their business, helping agents perform at higher and higher levels. So I'm always really excited to have Chris come in and deliver these webinars. And I invite you to check out more from him at leadersedgetraining.com or again, via the RLP Network. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Chris.
Thanks, Mike. And hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a fabulous summer. And I hope your year's unfolding exactly the way you wanted it to, and you are where you need to be at this point. I think this is a great time for us to have this conversation because we're looking at you're really looking at about 4 months now to the end of the year, September, October, November, and December. And when you take out a couple of weeks for the holidays, you know, we're down to 3.5 months. And I think it's real important for you to do a reconciliation of where you are in reference to your revenue goal for the year. And where are you in terms of your production? And I want to talk to you today about what I think are some of the greatest challenges we face in the industry. And then I want to talk to you about some of the psychological tools and resources that I've come to be aware of over years and years in the business that would help people really grow to their full potential. Now, if you're in British Columbia, the market's getting better. Alberta and Manitoba, maybe Saskatchewan. You guys are feeling a little bit of a change out there in the market. I know Calgary and Edmonton, their inventory levels will building. Toronto's strong. But setting that all aside, what I want to talk to you about is the greatest challenge you face in real estate is not the market, not the interest rates, not what's happening with the NAFTA deal, not what's happening with the pipeline or the oil industry in Alberta. What the real challenge is yourself. We often talk ourselves out of doing the things we should. So I want to talk to you about some of the things that I would use as tools and resources to help persuade you to continue to participate in the activities that are going to generate the results and create the opportunities for you. Now, success, and I spend a lot of time thinking about what creates a successful agent. What does a successful agent look like? Success is not the amount of money you have. That is a result of how well you're doing. And I know that sounds similar, but it's not the same. So my next rhetorical question for you, and I would never want to offend anybody, but if you're not making enough money, I can tell you why that is. You're not as good as you need to be at your career. So look at where you are revenue-wise. Think about the industry as a whole, or maybe your particular board. Where should you be to be in that top 10 or 15% of the agents? And if you're not there, then I would say you really need to focus on skills training, particularly talk tracks, dialogue, scripts, and how you're going to uncover new opportunities. We'll talk about that in a minute. But success for me, it doesn't matter if you're brand new, you've been in the business 5 years, 10 years, or 25 years. Success is continuing to grow and expand. So if you're brand new, learning something, learning something new that's going to affect how you go out and get some business, that's success. You've learned something that you didn't have before. If you've been in the business for a couple of years and you're getting better with your listing presentation and you're getting more smooth and elegant with that, that's success, because we're growing. If you are getting better with your pricing strategies and you're getting better at doing your CMAs and your absorption rates, that's success. So whatever you don't know and whatever you think you need to have, as long as it's on the schedule of activities and we're moving through and we're continuing to expand our business, then in my mind, you're successful. I often see new people who say to me, I want what that guy's got over there, but that guy's been in the business 20 years. I can appreciate you want it, but you have to understand there's a path that you need to take to achieve that and to acquire those skills and to have that level of business. There's no easy button. There's no shortcut. So it's about doing the hard work, doing it consistently, and continually taking time to understand how to grow your business. So in saying that, one of the challenges I run into today, because we have to continually keep up to date with the latest technologies, now I'm talking more about a psychological position that people maintain. And it's when new technology comes out, salespeople get frustrated, and you can't get frustrated. You need to be excited. Technology is not going to go away. It continues to change our business. There are forces out there that they would describe themselves, or maybe some people describe them as being disruptors. I don't think they're disruptors. I think they're enhancers. I think what's going on here is that we're living in the most exciting times, and we're doing things with technology today that I couldn't even dream of when I started in the business 30, 35 years ago. So I think it's amazing. I mean, when we even look at stuff like digital signatures, and if you're using dot loop or you're using DocuSign, think about the time that technology has saved you, when you don't have to go over and get your offers signed. You don't have to drive to people. You can send stuff to the mortgage people, you send stuff to the lawyers. It's fabulous. But I have to tell you, in every class I teach, I see people all the time that their attitude is, oh my God, now look what they've done. They've gone and invented a new technology. I didn't even learn how to use the last one, and there's a new one. Now, that's an attitude thing. That is not a technology issue. And so from a mindset perspective, from your viewpoint, technology is not going to go away. So you got to continually embrace the latest and new stuff, work it into your business. And you also should be aware that whatever technology we're using today will be obsolete at some point, probably in the near future, and something's going to replace it. And when they replace it or they do an upgrade, you're going to have to spend some time to learn how to use that technology. But I promise you, when you use it efficiently, you're going to find that you save a bunch of time, you do a much better job, things are better organized. So from an attitude perspective, embrace technology, don't push it away. And you're not going to get away without using it. I mean, when I look at the stuff we're doing right now and the stuff I'm seeing, last week, one of the things that was introduced to the real estate market in the US was a digital for sale sign that lit up at night. And the agents could actually change all of the information on the sign from a remote, from using their phone remotely. And they could also, as a client or a public drove by the sign would ping their phone and tell them that there's a property here for sale. And if they followed the thread on that, it would give them the feature sheet and the photos and the videography. But that's not really the issue. What I'm saying is technology is changing the game, and we got to constantly look for ways to incorporate this to give us an edge over the competition. But most important, it's about having the right attitude as the stuff gets rolled out. And that includes things, and before I leave this slide, there's things I see every day in my classes, like people are running old hardware. You've got to update your hardware. People are running old telephones. They're running old computers. And when their computers are not efficient, they're not effective, they're not running properly, that's because they're not spending any money on this stuff. Like a carpenter, you have to have the best saws and the best drills. So in real estate, we need technology, and you got to invest in your hardware. Now, in terms of attitude again, and I'm still on that attitude talk, but your happiness has a big effect on your success. Happy people write more business. And we've all seen people in real estate that don't look like they're having a very good time. You've met them on the other side of a transaction. And instead of them being friendly, they come across as intimidating. And that is not going to win in terms of relationships. And when I say that, there's one other thing I want to add to this conversation. It's really important that you not see people in the other offices as competitors, but I want you to see them as people to collaborate with. And why I say that is I teach people to be listing salespeople. That's what I teach them to do. That's the primary thing I do. And if you're going to be a big listing agent, then you're going to need to have really good working relationships with not just the agents in your office, but the agents in all of the offices. The best way to put an army to work for you is to get a bunch of listings and have everybody else sell them. Now, nobody's going to sell your listings if you're not a nice person. So it's really important that you be patient, authentic, original, kind, generous, sensitive. All of these are really important. But I meet people in real estate all the time that they're angry, they're upset, they lack patience, they're not kind, and then they can't figure out why people are not working with them or cooperating with them. So let me just give you a suggestion. Be happy. You have a choice. So when you're in one of the coffee shops tomorrow morning on your way to the open house that you're going to have, make sure you got your name badge on and make sure you're in a good mood, because somebody in the line at the coffee shop is going to engage you and say, "Oh, you're in real estate. Can I ask you a question?" Now, if you look intimidating, you look scary, you look like you're constipated, or you look like you're in a bad mood, nobody's going to talk to you. So remember, we're in a people business. You got to talk to people. So be in a good mood when you leave the house every day. It's going to have an effect on your income. Now, I meet people all the time that want to complain about our career, and I'm not saying our job's easy, but I'm going to tell you there are people out there that have much more difficult jobs than we do. I am constantly reminded about how good our job is and how fortunate we are to be in real estate. When you go by a construction site, think about a water main breaking in January in Toronto, and the public workers are out there knee deep in cold water. It's freezing out, and they got to fix that water main. And we're complaining about having to put out our open house signs and the weather's cold. I don't think so. So from that perspective, it's in the middle of the summer right now, and without a doubt, we've had a very, very hot summer. Drive by a construction site next time and have a look at the men who are putting the shingles on the roof, carrying 50-pound bundles of shingles up a ladder in 90-degree weather. That's work. And you got to do a sign back at 9 o'clock at night. I don't think that's so tough. So, reality check. We got a great opportunity. We got a great thing going here, and you have a great chance to have a fabulous business, fabulous career, and a fabulous life. What are you doing about it? Are you complaining or are you excited? Are you enthusiastic or are you feeling like you're overworked and overburdened? So make sure you take everything into account, because I really think what we're doing and what we have as an opportunity is fabulous. Now, in terms of attitude again, so we got a great job, we got a great opportunity, you can make a bunch of money, you can have a fabulous career, but you have to be careful who you keep company with. Every office that I've ever managed and every office I've ever been in, there are all kinds of people who will tell you why something won't work. And I got to tell you, you need to stay away from those people. They're like crabs in a bucket. Soon as you make a break for it, they're going to pull you back. I've seen agents say to people, I'm thinking about calling for sale by owners. And they said, oh, no, don't call for sale by owners. Those people are mean. They eat, they're young. I'm thinking about cold calling. Oh, you're not allowed to cold call. It's against the law. I'm thinking about going door knocking. Oh, don't do that alone. Somebody will kidnap you. I'm thinking about holding an open house. Well, you know what? Nobody comes to open houses, and the people who come already have agents. It's a waste of time. When you listen to people who think this way, they're going to affect you. My friend from South Carolina says, with his big Southern accent, you all smell like what you rub up against. So my attitude is this: make sure you stay away from those people, because if they haven't got something positive to contribute to a conversation, then you don't need to listen to them. You put that stinking thinking in your head, and it's going to affect your outcome and your income. So make sure you keep company with the best. Hang out with successful people. When you are around people who are successful, you can't help but be successful yourself. Success leaves clues. And if you're in the cubicle back at the office and there's another agent in the office is putting deals on the board and listings on the board, you need to watch and you need to listen. You need to say a lot less and listen a lot more. And what you're going to find is they have a ton of really good information. You want to hang out with successful people. You're going to rise to the company you keep. If you hang out with ducks, you're going to be a failure. But if you hang out with the eagles, you're going to soar. So, from my perspective, it's really important that you hang out with people that are doing all the right stuff. Don't listen to people who say, "Oh, you can't call people. They're on the do not call list." Then you know what? Scrub the do not call list and call the ones you can. And the ones who are on the do not call list, go over and ring the doorbell. Ring, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Guy comes to the door. What? Say, "Hey, I'm in real estate. You want to sell your house?" "No." "Well, I would have called you, but you're on the do not call list. Let's talk about this, because you know what? Your neighborhood's hot, and I got lots of folks that would be interested in this area." Here's the thing that most people are missing. It doesn't matter what the approach is. I don't care if it's FISBOs or it's a geographical farm or you're working a sphere or you're at a social event. You got to work it. And you can't have no in your vocabulary. You got to keep working it. You got to keep putting your card in people's hands. You got to be talking real estate. You got to do it elegantly too, so it doesn't come off like you're cheesy and kind of pushy. So you got to figure out polite ways to weave it into the conversation. But I'll tell you what, you're never going to find success in no's. The success comes in yeses. So make sure that you've got a positive attitude about stuff and you keep company with really successful people. If you want to be successful, hang out where they hang out. Go to their gym, belong to their country club, live in their neighborhoods, shop in their stores, eat in their restaurants, because the mind cannot distinguish between vividly imagined facts and real facts. Pretend to be the person you want to be, and you'll become the person you pretend to be. Now, I'll give you an example of this. In one of my classes, I had an agent, a Royal LePage agent, in one of my classes a few years ago. And she came to me after being in the office for a little over 10 years. And she said to me, "Chris, I'm thinking about moving offices." And I'm like, "Ellie, why would you do that?" And I said, "You're the big fish over there. You've been number one in that office for years." And she said, "I'm not leaving brands. I love Royal LePage." But she said, "There's an office down the road. And if I went and joined their office, I would only be maybe in the midway point. There are people there that are doing twice as much business as me." And she said to me, "I want to go up to that other office." And I'll tell you why. Because I've learned everything I can learn from the environment I'm in. I want to be around people that are doing things that I'm not, so that I can absorb what it is they're doing, add it to my activities, and I can continue to grow my business. So you got to think that that's pretty brave. And the interesting part was I had a chance to see her this week, and she's doing really well. She made the move, and she's happy because she's around really, really productive people. So stay away from the ducks and hang out with the eagles. Now, people often ask me, "Chris, where do you find the energy? Where do you find the, no, let me just put it this way, where do you find the courage to talk to strangers? Where do you find the courage to call for sale by owners? Where do you find the courage to go door knocking?" And the courage comes from having goals. Your goals are really important. And this is a positive approach to getting you to participate consistently in the activities that generate the opportunities. You need to have a really important goal, something that you really want to achieve in your life. So, and when I say achieve, something you want to acquire, something you want to experience, something that you want to be recognized for. So if you ask me, I would say take a few minutes this weekend and think about what you would like to accomplish between now and the end of the year. If you were to hit a certain sales target, what would you reward yourself or your family with? If by the end of the year you finished really strong and you were able to exceed your expectations, cross that threshold, what would be the reward? Would it be a Disney cruise for the family? Would it be a second honeymoon for you and your partner? Would it be a new sports car? Would it be a condo in Cabo or a place in Miami? Would it be a place in the islands? Would it be a month in France or Italy? But what I'm saying to you is that you need to establish something that's really, really important to you. Because if it's really important, you'll get your butt out of bed. You'll make those difficult calls. You'll follow up on those opportunities in real time instead of postponing it and then finding out you missed an opportunity because you didn't get back to somebody as quickly as you should. You got to have a reason. So, what's your reason to get out of bed in the morning? And if the goal is powerful enough, it should keep you up at night. It should almost create a sense of insomnia, because your head's going around in circles. You can't get it out of your head. So take a few minutes this weekend, figure out what's really important. And people ask me all the time, "I'm really uncomfortable about knocking on doors or calling people or talking to people I don't know." Where do you find the strength to do that? And my attitude is, because I got things that I want in life that are more important than the activities that it takes to get there. And I want you to know something. When you cross that threshold and you treat yourself to that reward, you may not understand what you've actually accomplished. Oh, yes, you've got a new sports car and you're pretty happy with the amount of revenue you generated by the end of the year. But think of all of the skills that you had to acquire to achieve that goal that you didn't have right now. Maybe you've never gone door knocking before and you don't know what words to say. So now you have to research the words. You got to practice your prospecting scripts or your talk tracks. Maybe you have to role play it a few times. You go out the first few times and it sure as heck doesn't come off poetic, that's for sure. But you keep practicing and you keep working on it because what you want is more important than what you have to do to achieve it. Now, but when it's all said and done, and you're driving around in that new sports car, what you may not realize is how much better you are in your communication skills, how stronger and how much more thorough you are on your conversions ratios. Very powerful. So pick an important goal. Now, life without goals, you got no reason to do anything. And I don't understand this. I have in my classes that I teach, you all know I teach that class that's 1 day a week over 7 weeks. But and each week we track people's activities to the results to see how they're doing, and we push them into activities that they're not participated in before to help really kind of grow their whole book of strategies. But I had this young man in my class. His mother actually paid to put him in the class. And I thought, wow, what a great gift, because she was a past student of mine and she really thought that I could help him. So she paid to put him in the class. Now the class is just a little bit shy of $1,000. It's a pretty big investment. And but one of the things you have to do in my class is by week 3, you got to have a new listing. And if you haven't got a new listing, you and I are going to have a one-on-one conversation to find out what's going on. So by week 3, this young man who's 28 years old hasn't got a listing. And and I should have also told you that he left law school halfway through because he didn't feel he wanted to be a lawyer. So now he's in real estate. Anyways, he's in my class and he hasn't written any business. So I sit down with him after class and I say, "What's going on?" And he says, "Nothing." And I said, "Well, I can tell that." I said, "More particularly, what's going on?" And he said, "Well," and he's making excuses. Excuses. And I don't do excuses. So I finally said to him, "One of your homework assignments where you were to choose a goal. Let me see your goal." Now imagine this 28-year-old man doesn't have a goal. He says, "I don't have any goals." I said, "How can you not have any goals? You're 28 years old." I said, "You need a new car." He said, "My mom bought me one last week." Can you see the problem? His mom's loving him to death. She's loving him so much, she's making it impossible for him to grow and learn. So I said to him, I don't give up easy. So I said to him, "Well, you know what? Maybe you need a really cool bachelor's pad where a young man might entertain." And he said, "Why would I do that? I live at home and my mom makes my bed, she cooks my meals, and she does my laundry." I had to call his mother because what she was doing, she was killing this kid with kindness. He was never going to mature and be the person he could be because he didn't have any goals. So I'm challenging you right now. What are your goals? What are you going to do? What are you going to achieve? What are you going to acquire? What are you going to try by the end of the year? And if it's important, and we're going to figure out how much that would cost, you're going to figure out how many listings you're going to need to get to achieve that. You got to figure then how many appointments, what's your conversion rate on your listing appointments, and then you got to figure out how many prospecting calls, however you want to do it, open house follow-ups, door knocking, geographical farm, FISBO, sphere of influence, doesn't matter to me. Pick one of the categories, but how many conversations do you have to have every day to book an appointment? How many appointments do you need to go on to get a listing? How many listings do you need to have that convert to sales? Once you understand the math, then you'll know getting up every day what it is you got to do to be wildly successful in this business. But remember, you're not going to make the calls. You won't knock on the doors if your goal isn't important. Now, if you get going and you're going 90 miles an hour and you're putting deals on the board, but at a certain point we get so busy we forget why we're doing it. Anybody on this um, call right now knows, who does a lot of business, knows we've all fallen into that spot in our career where we look around and we think to ourselves, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? You've lost your purpose. You got to have a purpose-driven business. Your business has to be driven based on purpose. So what's your purpose? So I don't care if you've been in the business 20 years and you're writing it, you're creating $1 million in commissions, or if you've been in the business 5 years and you're doing $250,000, or if you're 2 years in the business and you're struggling to get into that six-figure category. Every one of you need to have goals, things that are important, that are going to push you to be more successful than you are. Remember when I started this presentation today? Goals are your continual grow, or success is continuing to grow. So you need to continue to be growing and excited, no matter where you are in the business. Life with goals, success is a journey. It's not a destination. You won't be successful when you make $100,000, and you won't be successful when you make $1 million, nor will you be successful when you make $5 million. I can tell you, as your business continues, success is always out there ahead of you. You've got to be always focused forward and continuing to expand your business, learn new things, develop strategies, acquire new technologies. Continuing to grow is where success is. You can't sit still. If you sit still, the world's going to blow past you. Success also is growing in every area of your life. For instance, I see people who get into real estate and they work so hard at their business that they lose touch with all of the other parts of their life. I've seen people who have given up their personal health, stop going to the gym, stop being thoughtful about what type of foods they consume. They start to pack on the weight, they start to lose energy, and ultimately their goal was to make a lot of money. What ends up happening is they actually end up moving slower and becoming more aggravated with less patience because they haven't maintained some balance. I've seen people lose family and friends because they just don't make time for them. So what you need to do is create a schedule, create the balance. And when you have a goal that's really important and you're thinking, well, how am I going to get all these things done? What you're going to find is your discipline and focus goes way up when the goal is important and you stay on track. And you're more likely to get a lot more done in less time when you are driven to an outcome. And you're going to be, when you do take your breaks, you're going to feel you can take those breaks guilt free. You're not going to feel bad about taking time off because you've earned it. So let's make sure we earn it. Now, in a 12-step game plan, goals without action are just dreams. So let's put our plan in place. Number one, you got to figure out where you are right now. This weekend, where are you going to be by the end of the year? So we got to have our starting line. Where are you now? What is the end goal? And how much ground do you need to cover? We got to figure out what that looks like. And this is a great time to do this. Number two, I know that maybe you're starting in real estate and you're dreaming about living in a mansion, driving a Benz, and having a condo in Boca Raton. And I think those are fabulous dreams to have. But I've learned over my life the best way to get to wherever it is you're going is to do it in small steps. So if you focus on the mansion, it'll seem overwhelming and out of reach, especially if you're renting an apartment right now. So my suggestion would be the mansion's going to come, but let's put the right steps in place so you can acquire your starter home. Once you get settled into that starter home and you find your balance again, then we can look at a move up into something into middle, that midline suburbia, and you're into a much bigger house with a 2-car garage and a Scarlett O'Hara staircase. And then at that point, you can decide, do you want the mega mansion or not? But do it in small steps, and you're going to find that if you set reasonable goals, things that you can achieve, things that if you work just harder than you are now and brought a little more focus to what you're doing, that you would achieve it. There's a sense of satisfaction when you reward yourself for doing that work. And then what do we do when we achieve that goal? We set a new one. We hit the reset button. We go out and acquire a whole bunch more skills we didn't have. We add them to the ones we just acquired, and all of a sudden you're living in suburbia now, not in a starter home. And that's how you make your way through the path. Number three, often I find that people feel that their goals are too big, they're overwhelmed. Years ago, when I was a young boy, I got a summer job picking strawberries on a strawberry farm. And if anybody's ever done that, you know it's hard work. And of course, at the age of 10, I was eating more strawberries than I was picking, but that's okay. Anyways, my first day on Foster's farm, there was about a dozen of us kids. We were about 10, 12 years old. And old man Foster said to us, "We're going to pick this entire strawberry patch today." And when I looked at the patches as far as I could see, and I thought the old man's crazy. There's no way we're going to pick this patch. Now think about how I'm mentally thinking. Interesting, after the old farmer left, there was an older boy there that was working with us. He's about 15, and he'd been picking strawberries on the farm every summer for about the last 5 years. And he gathered us all around, all of us young kids. He said, "Okay, forget about what the old man said." He said, "This is what we're going to do." And he took a stick and he threw it out into the strawberry patch. And he said, "We're just going to pick to the stick. And when we get to the stick, we'll assess what's next." So we worked for an hour picking strawberries. And when he got to the stick, we all took a breath for a second. And he looked around and he said, "Okay, boys, here's what we're going to do." And he took the stick and he threw it out into the strawberry patch again. And then for the next hour, we picked away down our rows and continued to fill our baskets. We hit that next spot again, and he picked up the stick and he threw it again. What did we come to realize? What we realized by 5 o'clock that day, we had picked the entire strawberry patch. Now, first thing in the morning, if you had said to me, or he did say to me, we're going to pick the whole patch, I thought to myself, not possible. But how do you do it? You pick to the stick. So here's what you need to do today. You need to set your objectives for tomorrow and then pick to the stick. Don't worry about next week. Don't worry about next month. What you need to worry about is, what do I got to get done tomorrow? Remember, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And how do you get to the end? You put one foot in front of the other. Just keep plowing through, one foot in front of the other. And what'll happen is you'll have more done at the end of the week than you thought you could do. And then you're going to take that stick again starting Monday, and you're going to whip it out into the marketplace, and all you got to do is pick to the stick. Now, when you choose your goal, don't choose a goal arbitrarily. Always in my classes, I have people who say, I say to them, let me see your goal. And they just choose something. And I say, why did you choose that? Oh, I don't know. I thought that would be nice. What I'm telling you, if it's not important, you're not going to do it. So you got to do some soul searching. And one of the ways you'll trick yourself mentally into choosing the right goal is to choose something you want, but then do the research on why you should have it. It may be an emotional decision to buy a Range Rover, but what you really need to do is look beyond the badge and say, why, what makes a Range Rover such a great car? Oh, it's safety, and it's confident, and it's strong, and it's got the right this, and it's got that, and it's got the right fuel economy, it's got a great warranty. See, all of those things are sales strategies that you use on your own mental position to sell yourself into why you've got to do this stuff. So what I need you to do is not just choose a goal, but sell that goal to yourself so that it's truly important. Then I would take out your smartphone. It's a great device, by the way, and we have so many things it can do. But I would set up triggers. 5 times a day, I would set up triggers to remind you, did you book an appointment today? Now, we can get into the office. We can get busy with our Facebook. We can get busy with our graphic design work. We can get caught up in our mail piece or our newsletter, and it's 5 o'clock and we haven't talked to anybody, and another day's gotten by. So what I want you to know is your number one priority every day in the world of real estate sales, and it's the most important thing, is finding somebody who wants to sell a piece of real estate. Once you've achieved that objective for the day, then you can do all those other priorities that you believe are really important, but are designed to support a successful sales practice. Every day you have to have time on your calendar to go out and search for new business opportunities. There's lots of different ways to do it. And I don't think you have to look very hard to find the dialogue, talk tracks, the approaches, but who to call and what to say. But what you need to do is remind yourself that you got to do it. So I would set up reminders 5 times every day, repeat it on your schedule, and just have a little pop-up that pings you and says, hey, have you booked your appointment yet today? And if you could do that 5 times a day before the day's out, before the week's done, you will have booked your 3 and signed up a new listing. Think about how much more that would affect your business, especially if you added another new well-priced listing to your inventory every week. The power of 3. If you choose too many goals, you're probably not going to hit any of them. I always like to prioritize. I pick 3 goals, 3 things that I want to achieve in a given period of time. I organize them in in their order of importance, and then I create a vision board, and I put them in a prominent spot in my life, like on a cork board over my desk. And I constantly continue to look at those. And what I've come to realize is that if you focus your energy on whatever's in front of you, you're going to participate in the strategies and the activities that will affect that outcome. But if you lose sight of why you're doing it, the day gets away from us, and all of a sudden we haven't accomplished what we set out to do. So the power of 3. I would also take out your weekly calendar, and I would do this on the weekend, and I would schedule when's the best time to go door knocking, when's the best time to hold an open house, when is my agent open, when's my office meetings, when am I going to the gym, when's date night with my wife or my partner or my husband, when it's time for the kids, when's time for my friends. Move everything in there. Now, at the end of the week, it won't be as how you plan, but I can tell you it's going to be a lot better. This is referred to in our industry as time blocking. And what we're doing is we're pre-planning the calendar. I would also recommend you leave a couple of open blocks for last minute requests so you can move things around your calendar and still get everything done. Now, connect with people who want to grow just like you do. I brought that up a little bit earlier. But you know, if you want to lose weight, hanging out with people who are foodies is probably not a good idea. So if they're all into eating lots of food and going out for really fancy dinners and you want to lose weight, you got to know keeping company with people whose main objective is to enjoy the meal isn't going to be the same as somebody who wants to lose weight. So think about it in those terms. If you want to get into shape, you got to hang out with gym rats. If you want to be a runner, you hang out with other runners. If you want to lose some weight, then you got to make sure that you put yourself in the right company where other people are also supporting that initiative. And if you want to make a lot of money in real estate, you got to hang out with successful people. Now, one of the things that happens is people, and we do this as adults, we create insurance policies. And we often won't make that leap of faith because we know from our past experience that it's really important for our mental health to make sure that we have a safety net. We have a support system. Should anything happen, a plan B. And I understand why you have a plan B. But there are people out there that have relied too heavily on their plan B. And what's happened is it has affected the opportunity that's in front of them. For instance, I meet people all the time who are part-time in real estate. They say they'd like to be full-time in real estate, but they won't give up the other job because, well, as long as they have that other job because, then they're never going to force themselves to do the really tough stuff because they have that fallback position. So what you need to do is burn the boats. Now, where this story comes from was when the Spanish went to conquer Mexico, the flotilla of warships back in the 1700s sailed across the ocean. And the admiral, to ensure that the Spanish won when they met the Aztecs on the beach, he took all of the sailors, and I believe it was about 200 Marines, off of five of the six boats, and he put them on the shore and he set the boats on fire and he sent them back out. And he said, we're going to keep one boat so that we can take all of the treasure that we plunder from the Aztecs back to Spain. But gentlemen, so you understand, you have really two choices. You either fight and win or you fight and lose. But today it's going to happen on this beachhead. Now, I'm telling you this story because there are agents right now in your office around you that are part-time agents and they won't burn their boat. They're never going to be successful in real estate until they stop. You can't steal second base with one foot on first. Let me put it to you that way. So if you're going to make a run for home plate, you got to make the run. You got to let go. And you got to have faith that if you get up every day, you work really, really hard, you bring focus and discipline to everything you do, that you're going to be successful. But as long as you maintain that insurance policy, you keep that part-time job, you're actually making it more difficult. So you're as smart as anybody else. You're as strong and thoughtful and clever, interesting. You're all of those things. So do yourself a favor. Burn the boat. Let go of first base and make a run for second. Number 10. This is Thomas Edison. It took him 10,000 attempts to make the light bulb. Did he fail 10,000 times? I don't think so. I think that we don't make mistakes. Mistakes make us. So many people are so afraid to try something because something might happen that they never risk anything. And I have to tell you, in life and in business, you've got to risk for the reward. Let me put it to you another way so that you understand. Fortune favors the bold. If you want to make a lot of money, you got to take some chances in life. That's the way it works. Remember, you didn't what if the deal didn't go through, you didn't get the listing or you didn't get the sale, I'll tell you what you did get. You got an amazing experience and more education to be added to that experience. The addresses change, the names change. But I'm going to tell you that as your career unfolds, the same situations continue to come up. And the only way to navigate successfully through that situation is to have failed a couple of times on the same attempt with a similar situation. Once you realize how you need to do it, then you know exactly what it is you need to do. You can't be wise without experience. The price of wisdom is experience. Remember, you don't make mistakes. Mistakes make you. They make you stronger, bigger, and more powerful. Number 11, people in real estate are always trying to fracture their business and they want to operate their life in silos. And I don't think that works really well. They want to keep their business life and their personal life separate. And I think, quite honestly, our business is a tapestry or a mosaic of activities. I think you're out with your spouse, you're out having a cocktail on a Friday night and dinner, and lo and behold, there's somebody in the restaurant you know, it would behoove you to get your butt out of that chair, walk over and say, I didn't want to interrupt. I saw you guys in the restaurant, just wanted to say hello. And you know how the conversation always turns in 30 seconds. You know what's going on in the market. You chat a little bit about it. And then in the conversation, you uncover the fact that they were thinking about something, but maybe not till later in the year. You say, you know what, today's not, time's not right time for me to have this discussion with you. But you know what, let me get your number right now and I'll circle back the first of the week and let's discuss when it might be the best time of year to put a house like yours on the market. I'd hate for you to miss an opportunity and end up losing some money. Let's have a discussion about it next week. Now, some of you are saying, oh, geez, I like that dialogue. You know what? It's dialogue. And I got lots of dialogue. That's not the issue. What the issue is that you're not living in a silo. You're in a tapestry of activities. When you're at the gym, you're going to talk real estate. When you're on the golf course, you're going to talk real estate. When you're in the grocery store, and I'm assuming you're wearing your Royal LePage name badge, you know that name badge is good for one deal a year, right? I'm assuming that's on your chest because you're going to be standing in the grocery store lineup and the lady's going to say behind you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you, but you're in real estate. Can I ask you a question? So get your spouse on side, get your kids on side, get your family on side, but everybody's got to understand real estate is all around us and we got to have our radar up. Number 12, this is going to sound, what I want you to do is I want you to pay off your house. For everybody that's on the call right now, I want you to figure out how much you have left on your mortgage balance. And what I'd like you to do is figure out how many deals you'd have to close to pay off your house. Can you imagine what it would feel like? And I know there's people on this video, on this conference with us right now, but can you imagine what it would feel like to be debt free? Do you have any understanding of how your business is affected by maintaining that position? And the one thing I think we can all agree on right now is that the real estate market is constantly changing. British Columbia has been through up and downs. The Toronto market has seen a retreat since June of 2017. It's come back again. It bounces all over the place. Some of the small towns have been affected. We've seen some stuff out in Alberta, which has been difficult. Here's the thing about real estate. It goes up and down. The market goes up and down. In fact, the real estate markets, like the economy, it moves up and down. So what I want you to do is I want you to position yourself, no matter what happens in the real estate market, that you have always got all your expenses covered and you've reduced that exposure you have. Pay off the house. And then no matter what happens in the real estate market, it's not going to affect you. Imagine if your car was paid for and your house was paid for, and all you had to do was come up with grocery money and property taxes. I mean, let me put it to you this way. There will be another recession. The question is this, will you participate or not? I mean, when I say not, that's because you don't have any bills. You're in great financial shape. You've eliminated your risk. And now you're in a position where you can really capitalize if the market retreats. What am I talking about? One of the things you need to do is invest in real estate. I don't want you to make a bunch of money throughout your career and be really successful and then get to the finish line when retirement's there and you've got nothing set aside. You know the best deals in real estate. And most of the time you sell your best deals to other clients. When something comes across your desk and it's really good, you need to buy it for yourself. Now, I don't want you to be in a position where you have too much leverage and you have too much exposure. Number one, pay off your personal residence. When that's done, put enough money aside so you can buy your first investment property conventional. You buy that property with a conventional mortgage, then what happens? The market goes up and down, but should it ever go down, you're never going to be in a bad position because you will be able to manage the rent on that property accordingly. And if you think real estate's expensive today, wait till you see what it's going to be worth in 20 years. And it will blow your socks off. So now the other thing I want to make sure, now I'm giving you 12 really good tips there, is don't make excuses. I don't do excuses. I believe in focus, hard work, and discipline. And if you were asking me, what are the three key components you have to have? You have to have, you got to put your back into it. You got to put your heart into it, and you got to put your head into it. You got to care about your people. You got to be smart, and you got to work hard. And if you apply those three things to your business, you're going to make a fortune. Don't tell me that there's too much inventory in Calgary. What you need to do is get your inventory reduced so that it's saleable. There will be sales tomorrow in Calgary. The question is, will your inventory be sold or will your inventory be used as a tool to demonstrate where somebody else could get better value? If you're in Toronto and there's no inventory, it's a great time to be in real estate. You need to prospect for more appointments and you need to get better at your conversion skills. And so it doesn't matter what's happening. There's always business out there. You just have to adapt to it. So no excuses. I love this quote from Anthony Robbins. The defining factor for success is never resources, it's resourcefulness. Don't make excuses. Just get out there and get it done. Remember, there are people in the business that are not half as smart as you, and they're making a fortune. So they all put their pants on one leg at a time, and there's nothing special about special people. In our business, it's what they do, not who they are. They weren't born that way. They've acquired these skills, they're driven, and they're disciplined. And I'll tell you what beats talent. And we meet people all the time in real estate that when we first meet them, we think, how talented, beautiful, smart, well educated, gift to gab, social connections. You know what beats talent? Hard work beats talent. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Now, if you need more money, let me tell you how you do it in real estate. Talk to more people, sell higher priced homes, stop cutting your commission, and focus on sellers, not buyers. Anybody knows that anybody in real estate, everybody in real estate knows the people who make the most money in real estate are always listing agents. Do you remember when you got into the business? What did your broker tell you? You need to list to last. Listings are the name of the game. Listings are the way to the top. But yet there are people this weekend who are driving around people to look at properties that they haven't even got financially qualified. And even if they wrote an offer, they probably couldn't close on it. If you need more skills, find a mentor, take the courses, read the books, practice your materials, role play, or reach out to us. I would be very happy to help you. We have all kinds of resources that we could make available to help you with your real estate career. So no excuses. What you need exists out there. If you need more time, what I'm going to recommend you do is reduce your TV time. Do you know the average person in North America watches 4 hours of TV a day? If you add that up over your lifetime, you're spending 13 years of your life watching reruns of The Big Bang Theory. I don't think that's such a great use of your time. Learn to delegate your low-level activities. Stop cleaning your car and stop cleaning your house. Start ordering your groceries online and have them delivered by Amazon. Why are you doing this stuff? Why are you going to Walmart to look at Lysol? You can order all that stuff and have it drop shipped to your house. Pre-plan your week and remove those false obligations. How many times have I met an agent that's gone in to clean somebody else's house to get it ready to sell or paint? Listen, you're diminishing your value if you're cleaning somebody else's house or cutting their grass so you can get it ready. You know what? This is what I would say to the seller. If you keep your house in good shape, we can get you more money. If you refuse to clean your house, then you need to drop the price. So what do you want to do? You want to hire a cleaning person, or do you want to drop your price? It's just that simple. And that's at that point, we're at the end of the session. I hope you picked up a lot of ideas. Mike, I gave them a ton of stuff, man, in about 52 minutes. Jump in, Mike, and we're going to do some questions.
Yeah, I mean, chat got real quiet in there, but I know I was kind of sitting back just listening to what you were saying. I had a couple questions just off your last slide. And I'm going to remind everybody, please ask your questions in the chat. That's, we have a great opportunity here to have an industry expert like Chris Leader on the webinar with us. So ask your questions about it. But I'm going to ask a couple questions just based on your last couple slides. And number one, you said, if you're making excuses, or if you need to get the training and all that stuff, start with a book. So I'm going to ask for, if you were going to recommend a book for agents who are on this webinar today, what would you recommend?
Versatile Selling would be one that I've read recently. I love all the traditional stuff. Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. Everybody has to have that on their library shelf. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. They've done an update on that in the last few years. Anthony Robbins, Awakening the Giant. Good to Great would be another one that you need to have on your shelf. Tommy Hopkins, this is really old. There's no technology in it, obviously, but at the core, the principles of selling are strong. Mastering the Art of Real Estate Sales. Anything you can get your hands on from Og Mandino, again, would be really good psychologically as a pickup book. I love The 1 Minute Salesperson, The 1 Minute Manager, Who Moved the Cheese. And I could go on and on and on. I literally have a library, and I'm a huge believer in. I'm always reading everything I can get my hands on. I would also go on to say, Mike, I think it's really important that they keep up with current events. I read 2 newspapers every day before I start my day. I read the National Post in Canada, and I read the New York Times from cover to cover every morning, so that I can understand what technology is going to be used in other industries that we need to know about. I want to know about what's happening in the financial markets. You know, what's going to happen in Turkey? How's that going to blow back into the North American economy? And could we see, you know, a ripple effect? So I say to them, they got to be reading every day. I mean, I'm always reading. I mean, you got to read. You got to be reading.
Nice, thank you. And you know, while I wait for some questions from people, some people are just saying like great insight. But I just want to remind everybody that we do have an index of the webinar library. You know, Chris has done a number of webinars with us, so you can check that out in the RLP network under training, webinar training, sales success. You can go in there, you can pick presenter and go to Chris, you know, go check out Chris Leader, go check out the other things that he's done, some excellent webinars. You can see one up there. Get Your House in Order was one that he did just maybe last year about. So just a reminder on that. The other question I had for you, because I mean, I think people are burning their cars. I think you recommended they burn their transportation, was what you said.
No, burn the boat. I don't want them to burn their new. I need them to go get a new car, but not burn their boat.
If they have
burn the boat, get a new car.
Okay, so burn their boats. If you have a boat, burn it. That's your recommendation.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, and again, I know I've talked to a lot of new agents recently who've talked about, you know, mentors and stuff like that. And you said, you know, find a mentor. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you, like if I'm a new, like, okay, couple scenarios. Maybe I'm a new agent, you know, I'm looking for a mentor. But what if I'm an agent who's, you know, maybe 3 to 5 years in the business? You know, I've had some things going well. You know, I've survived that, you know, first couple years of the oh, is this going to happen? I'm committed. I'm ready to go. You know, I really want to push. What are the criteria I should be looking for in a really good mentor?
At that point, they're beyond a mentor, and what they're looking for is a coach. And they are two different things. A mentor is really good when a new agent enters the industry and needs to know sort of the core activities. You know, how do you hold an open house? What do I say? How do I follow up? What conditions do I put in an offer? They like real-time information to some of the most basic stuff when they're getting started. And a mentor can do that. Once a person sort of crosses that 2-year mark and they've got a relatively successful practice, they need a business consultant to help strategize with them what their next goals are and what activities look like. And then there's an accountability component that I don't think you can expect from a mentor who's going to hold you to those activities. Now, the next thing people on the thing are going to say to me, well, you know, I don't want to spend $600 on $700 on a coach. Well, in life, you get what you pay for if you don't make a commitment. Now, if you go into your, you know, I've always said, if you have skin in the game and you are committed to a coach, then you're more likely to follow the coach's recommendations and stay on track and achieve your objectives. So I have all kinds of agents that work with our coaches that have, you know, I got one lady in Boulder, Colorado last year, did 6 million in sales volume. That works out to about 180,000, 150,000 in gross closed commissions. At this point right now, this year, she's at 17.5 million because she was working with our coach. And what that works out to is at the halfway point for this year, she's at about 520,000 in commission dollars. So I would tell you the small amount of money that she's invested in reference to the revenue that she's created is a fraction. And our coach was exceptional. He's in LA and really, really good on high-end inventory. So, you know, it was a great fit. So there are people, and I'm not selling, if there's people on the call who are like, I'm not spending $600 a month to have somebody tell me what to do. And that's fine. But I'm going to say to you that when you are, it's just like that guy who his mom was killing him. When you don't invest your own stuff, give me another example. If you've got a teenager and they save up enough money to buy their first car, have you ever noticed they're out there cleaning it and vacuuming it and washing it and waxing it and they're looking after it and they park it in the far side of the parking lot because they don't want anybody to ding it? Can I tell you why that is? It's because they worked really, really hard for it. So if you work really hard for your money and you give it to a coach and you expect them to do something, your expectation and you're going to demand from them that they deliver and you're going to deliver on what they're telling you. So after 2 years, you need a coach. Before that, I would find somebody in the office to help you with the most basic stuff so that you feel that you're getting some rhythm and cadence and an understanding of the industry.
Nice. And I mean, I'm waiting, I'm reminding people to ask questions. I think they just took it all in, man.
Right.
Because I know that's, you know, I was going through it myself and going, you know, yeah, like I was just absorbing. And a couple people are saying, like, just thanks for the information. Thanks for, great up-to-date advice. So again, I'll remind people they can check out royallepage.ca/training. If they want to learn more about Royal LePage's learning services and our training and our webinars, you can check out leadersedgetraining.com to learn. That's correct, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can check that out if you want to learn all about the Leaders Edge and what they have to offer as well. Again, I remind you, in our LP network, you can check it out under training partners, and Leaders Edge. And let's have a look here. So I got a question.
Okay.
So what is your best advice to a new agent, 8 months, that is not doing well financially, has sold nothing, but does practice good management skills, does door knocking every day, worked every contact? What is the advice that you'd give?
I would think if you haven't written any business yet, what I would do is I would look to hitch my wagon to somebody else's horse in the office. So I would look around for a really busy agent, and I would say, I'd like to work with you. I'd be willing. I had to do this my first year in real estate. I went in thinking it was going to be easier than it was, and after about 6 months, I was really struggling. So I looked for. There was a lady in my office by the name of Carolyn, and she was writing lots of business, and she was doing really well. And I went over and I said, I'd like to volunteer to help you. I can, maybe uncover an opportunity. You can help me close it, or I could do some work for you. Or if you're too busy, maybe you can give me a buyer to run around with. So I started to work, and it took me about 6 months with her. And after about 6 months, I got to the point where I really had my confidence up, and I thought I could do this. And I was starting to put some business together. And I went in and I let her know that it was time for me to go on my own. Now, the one thing I will tell you was Carolyn was pretty disappointed when I left, and there was, and I didn't leave the building. I just left that relationship because she'd become pretty accustomed to having me kind of, do the heavy lifting. But I did the heavy lifting, and I learned from it. I would follow along behind her. I'd go to open houses. I'd go sometimes out when she was with buyers, and I would listen to her, and that kind of got me started. The other thing I would say for our new agent is this. Do an open house every Saturday on a good property. Remember, make it a good property. Wednesday night, go around the neighborhood and door knock everybody in the neighborhood to let them know you're having an open house, and you would invite them to come out. And if they knew of anybody that would be interested, oh, by the way, have you thought about selling your house while you're there? And then make sure you follow up with everybody. The app that I would use on my iPad would be the Open Home Pro app. I like that as a guest registry. Plus, it helps you collect all the digital information so that you would be able to follow up with people. Now, when the open house is open, hypothetically, let's say 4 o'clock on Saturday, don't go home and promise you're going to call everybody Monday. What you need to do is go back to the office at 4 o'clock, and you need to call everybody that was there. And you need to follow up and then give the seller a report. Most importantly, what you want to do is follow up in a timely manner so that life doesn't get between you and that opportunity and they get distracted by something else or head off in a different direction. Simply put, you have to strike when the iron's hot. Then I'm going to say good for you for doing your door knocking. Make sure you take a look for sale by owners. Pick a farm and try to work on that. Continue to develop your list of sphere of influence, and make sure you've got your little cards going out from time to time to people on your sphere. Don't leave home without 10 business cards every day. And what I want you to do is before you come home every day, you have to give out 10 cards. Now, when you give out a card, I need you to engage everybody that you gave that card to in a conversation about real estate. Doesn't matter if it's the waitress at the restaurant, if it's the fella and the guy in front of you and the guy behind you at Tim Hortons in the morning, or if it's wherever you're getting your hair done or your nails done or whatever it is. But you cannot come home until you've given out and had 10 real estate conversations. Now, if you have 10 conversations every day, that means you're going to have 50 a week, 200 a month, and 2,400 a year. Even if you were able to convert 2.5% of those conversations, that means you'd close 60 real estate transactions. Now, I don't know where that person is, but let's just assume that the commission was $5,000, which is probably low, but let's say it's $5,000 a deal. That's a $300,000 income by doing something as simple as forcing yourself to give out a card and have a conversation 10 times a day. You do all what I'm just telling you to, and I'll tell you in a year from now, whoever this person is, she's going to be or he's going to be real busy. So stick to the basics. What else you got for me, Mike?
Just somebody was asking, what was the app again? It was Open Home Pro?
Open Home Pro. Yeah.
And that's a tablet app, right?
The tablet
So,
app, and it
yeah.
was designed for open houses. What happens is it's a digital guest registry. They type it in when they come in, and I don't know why, but they seem to like that better than writing their name. So they type it in, and what they get in exchange for their details is the feature sheet is emailed, and the photos and the videography is all sent directly to their phone. Now, what happens there, of course, is you've got their phone, you got their email address, you got their name, and of course, you can call back right away. So Open Home Pro app. The other app that I think they want to look at is the Agent Success app. Take a look in the Apple Store for the Agent Success app or in the Google Store.
That one out too. And that's, I'll say, like you kind of mentioned a lot about, like, get it, don't, like you said, don't make yourself excuses. I find it amazing. I've lived in my house in my neighborhood for 4 years. There've been a lot of houses that have gone for sale. I have yet to have one agent knock on my door and say, "Hey, I'm hosting an open house down there. Just wanted to personally invite." Like, I find that mind blowing. I got a letter once saying, we had a buyer who had made an offer, and I was asking my wife because she was home, and I was like, "Did anybody knock on the door?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Oh, they just put it in the mailbox, kind of like, here, I don't want to bug you. I don't want to, And I was like, "Knock on the door, man. Like, come on."
You brought up something that's really important, and agents get confused with prospecting. They think delivering flyers is prospecting. We are a business it's about conversations. You need to have conversations with people. Putting something in somebody's door is not going to, it's a retail instead of being proactive. The other thing is people want to rely, and I'm a big technology guy, but people want to rely on technology using Google AdWords or Facebook ads to drive traffic. But one of the things they haven't acquired, even if they got the inquiries, they don't have the conversion skills because they haven't worked on their communication. So even if an opportunity came in, they end up losing more business than they close because they don't know what to say. So for our person who's 8 months in the business, get out there and talk to everybody.
Sorry, somebody was just saying, could you list the name of the books? And I was like, you said them so quickly.
Sure.
But you can, but just go back in the video. You can scroll back. It's a YouTube video, so just go back and you have to listen to it because I think you listed like 20 books there. So I was like, oh.
I got a better idea. Let me give them some advice. Here's what they should do. They should go to Chapters, go to Amazon, look up sales books, look up motivation books, anything like that, and they should get in the habit of getting a book a month. And if they're really busy and they can't find the time to sit still and read, then I would say some of those books can be bought on audio and they can be downloaded to their phone and they can turn their driving time into listening and learning.
And all right, let's see. I got one more question, and then you got to get going. So the last question is, what would you say to someone looking to develop their own scripts specific to their region? I get a feeling I know what you'd say, but
I think that you're going through too much work, and your objective is not to be a writer; it's to be a salesperson. So I honestly believe that there is enough remember, your goal is not to be you're not a writer, you're a salesperson. So I would just go to the stuff that's already produced, make a minor adjustment if you need to for your neighborhood, and get out and start using it. You'll spend more time trying to create something than actually doing something. In the meantime, somebody who isn't half as good as you has just got 2 listings this week. So yeah, people spend too much time getting ready to get started. Just get out there and do it.
And I was if I was thinking too, and you said it in previous webinars, but if you're going to start studying stuff, and obviously your scripts are really important, but like the local stats, that's where you should be spent. Like, know your stats, know the neighborhoods, know all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody I listened to a little while ago was saying it's like music. I don't question Mozart, I play it, and like that's, so you go out and you just deliver on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more question. Let me add one more thing to that, Mike. I would go on to say that there is literally decades and decades and decades of people who have already done what that person's asking. All they need to do is take what's already been done and make a minor adjustment so that it works for their street, their neighborhood, their price range, whatever it is. But I would not get into writing a whole bunch of scripts. That's a waste of time.
So I got, okay, one last really quick question, I think, and then
Sure.
and then we're done. Questions coming, just how often should you knock on the same door if they say they're not interested right now?
Um, well, one of my
I've never stumped you before, Chris. This is amazing.
no, I'm trying to think.
I
See,
know.
I can be very driven, and I can be personality wise. I can be, well, you know, and I don't want this to come across as arrogant, but I know how to be charming. Let's put it that way. So I could pretty much get away with knocking on your door every day, Mike, and after a while, we'd just be having a visit. But not everybody has that skill. So, and that's because I've been in sales for 35 years. I have to tell you, I've been doing this since I was right out of high school. So it's not fair. So I would say to somebody that if you were going to knock on someone's door, I would say you could be comfortable probably once a quarter, but I don't think an agent who's out doing a whole bunch of stuff is going to get to that same door once every 90 days. So, once every 6 months. But if you were going to do it once every 6 months, you're going to need support material in front of you and in behind you to constantly remind the person. And you have to be consistent. So you have to keep coming back through that neighborhood. Otherwise, people will forget you. So you got to come up with support material to remind them. And your face-to-face would be great to just reinforce the marketing and the branding and the farming that you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was. Yeah, that's. So with that said, okay, that's all the questions we can do. I mean, I really appreciate. Thanks so much, everybody who chimed in with the question. To me, that's one of the biggest advantages of being here and being here live is you get to ask these questions. And like I said, I mean, Chris, how many agents have you trained in the last year? Like,
in the last 6 months, I do my course. My course is 1 day a week for 7 weeks. So that means I have to go back to the same city every week, and I do 5 cities a week. So in the last 6 months, we've put just a little over 1,000 people through personally, I put through the training program.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, it's so valuable for you guys to be here and be here live with us, because you're talking to somebody who in the past 6 months has been personally coaching over 1,000 agents. So it's like I love hearing your answer. So with that said,
and to add to that, Mike, it's interesting because I travel from city to city. Like I was teaching this week in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and I'm Canadian, but the point is that I get exposure to, I'm in LA working, I'm in Silicon Valley, I'm in Toronto. I get exposure to all these different marketplaces. So I'm able to acquire new ideas along the way and continue to, bring them along and hand them off to people. So it's good. My exposure is very good for everybody else.
And I find it interesting, in speaking with you, and Chris and I, obviously we speak before and after the webinar. Like last time we were talking about that door knocking, you were telling me that story about the agent who went to that gated community in Beverly Hills, knocked on a door and sold, what was it? It was like a $5 or $6 million list. And you go like, and it's funny because like the gentleman was asking about customizing the scripts, and you go, would you think a door knocking script? Would you think you'd even be able to knock on a gated community in Beverly Hills? Well, you can if you're willing to get out there.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. With that said, I want to thank you so very much, Chris. From everybody, I get a lot of thanks in the chat, but I want to thank you personally always for your time. I really, really appreciate it, and
thanks,
and your insight. And for everybody else, check it out, royallepage.ca/training. We got a lot more stuff coming up for you, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.